it's your special day. Happy birthday, Baba Dick Gregory. See how it works somewhere. And we love you madly. Baba, Richard, Claxton, Gregory, aka Dick Gregory. And you know this, man. And welcome back, family, to another wonderful, infiltrating, edutainment edition of We All Be, a news-free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for the empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2 the artivist. This is where knowledge is the currency of the universe, and you know this, man. So we're doing this on the Life Affirmation Day of the one and only Richard Claxton Gregory Sr. That's Richard Claxton Gregory Sr., also known as Dick Gregory. Some y'all, he's Baba Dick Gregory. He's my Jagna, and me. I just want to do a show. There's a lot going on in the news cycle as usual, but I wanted to do a show. I don't even know if they let me play my video correctly because, you know, we are in the middle of the last Mercury retrograde of the year, and it ends on October 17th. And it started on September 27th. And yeah, this is Mercury retrograde for me. Once you are aware of things, information is power. You know, before I knew what a Mercury retrograde is, I kept on saying, why all these things happen to me all the time? Why all these crazy things are always happening in certain times of the year? And you find out about Mercury retrogrades, okay, I can adjust accordingly. And that's what really knowledge does for you. It helps you to adjust if you know how to apply it. And that's wisdom. Sometimes wisdom is learned through trial and error, of course. Well, hold on, folks. Let me check out something right quick. Let me see. Gotta hook up something right quick. I'll be right back. I love black, but I don't want to black out during the broadcast. I make sure I plug my laptop up. But yeah, but I won't know until I listen back and replay if my video actually played correctly. Because what I've been noticing the last couple of lives I've done, I'll play videos and the sound be all choppy and weird. And it's like, you know, when I'm playing it in the studio, I don't hear all the choppiness and all that stuff. But when I play it back on replay, it's all choppy and whatnot. I had to edit some of my videos because of that. Got to really re-upload some stuff. But I got a lot of stuff going on. But I just want to take the time out to just talk about some things that's been on my mind. I've been marinating. Of course, today is Baba Dick Gregory's. If you are On the East Coast, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm coming live from the past because to quote or paraphrase the great William Faulkner, the past is never past. So I'm broadcasting from Tuesday. Some of y'all already into Wednesday, but it's still October 12th where I'm at for at least the next 21 minutes. So I just at the last minute decided to get on here, talk about Baba Dick Gregory, Dave Chappelle, and Thelonious Monk, whose birthday was October 10th. He'd have been 104 years young. He was born in 1917 down in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. A lot of people assume that Thelonious people are from the islands, but he's actually from the South. He's from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. His people moved to New York when he was like 4 or 5 years old back in 1922. He grew up in the San Juan Hill neighborhood. It was named because there's a lot of veterans from the Spanish-American War, a lot of black veterans from the Spanish-American War settled in San Juan Hill up in New York. Now it's the place where the Lincoln Center is located at, when the jazz at the Lincoln Center. So you never know, like anytime where black folks gather becomes valuable real estate. Georgetown used to be a black community. You had Seneca Village, you call it Central Park back in the day, Seneca Village, Central Park, or the village or the African village. Black folks used to live in Central Park. Black folks used to live in Georgetown. Black folks used to live in Washington, D.C. But I'm saying anywhere where black folks gather becomes valuable real estate. It includes the prison system. Where there's black bodies, there's profit to be made and black folks to be exploited. Where there's a gathering of black so-called bodies, there's profit to be made. So a lot of y'all look at, now, you think about, I'm in Memphis, they knocked down the projects. The projects before that, you used to have black folks living in mansions. I mean, like the church family had a prominent mansion in South Memphis. And then, Mayor Crump, Boss Crump back in the day, doing a fire convention, a fireman convention back in the early 50s. He used the church family mansion, very beautiful, wonderful structure, to try some new fire equipment, and they burned down those mansions, put up the projects, and the rest is history. Now they knocked down the projects, put up condominiums, move folks that been in the projects for generations out to the suburbs. Suburbs become the hood or the ghetto. So, is it really about a physical place, or is it about a state of mind and being when it comes to our so-called realities that we say we living through? This is the Matrix. And you got at least 7 billion different versions of reality, not including multiple personality disorders or schizophrenia. You got at least 7 billion different versions of reality going on at the same time. So it's interesting. So it's quite possible that I'm popular somewhere in the multiverse. Like here, I'm tolerated. I've never been popular. Now, Dave Chappelle, yes, he's controversial, but he is very popular, which is very unusual, especially for the stance he have taken and the chances he have taken on his career and with his art to be that so mainstream, yet still be controversial, but yet still mainstream is really an extraordinary thing. Because you think about, like I said, I want to talk about Thelonious Monk tonight. A lot of times our people, we don't talk about our great ones because we don't realize that we have greatness within ourselves. Our people are very tone deaf when it comes to understanding our true greatness that transcends the so-called empirical world or white folks' soft bigotry or low expectations. So I mean, like with Monk, you could read critic reviews of Monk work. They used to just trash Monk, man. They used to trash Monk. They say he couldn't play piano. He had 2 left hands, and his music was, basically, mentally challenged music. I don't know, but it's funny to me because a lot of the music you hear today has been influenced by Monk. Monk is the second most recorded jazz musician behind Duke Ellington. Duke Ellington had basically thousands of songs, right? Compositions, arrangements. Monk maybe had like maybe a couple hundred compositions. And yet he's the second most recorded composer in jazz history behind Duke. Duke has thousands. Duke arguably could be the greatest American composer in history. You could make a case for Duke Ellington being there. I mean, his influence, his blueprint, his fingerprints are everywhere. But with Monk, He got maybe a couple hundred compositions, maybe less than that, and he's the second most recorded jazz composer in history. But yet he was not appreciated while he was doing his thing. Really, he was, the people that really appreciated Monk were the brilliant musicians, like people like Coleman Hawkins, the father of jazz saxophone, people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, even your Miles Davis and all them guys. Monk started off on trumpet, but he had asthma, from my understanding, so he switched over to piano, and the rest is history. But Monk could actually play. He could play like a Fats Waller or Count Basie or Duke Ellington, but he wanted to play like him. I mean, he might thump the piano, like be thumping on the piano. A lot of dissonance, very percussive. Like he approached the drum like a drummer. He'll approach the piano like use it as a percussive instrument. But he left a lot of space for people to explore and to express themselves. That's why somebody like John Coltrane thrived under the tutelage of Thelonious Monk when he went to join Monk, and he did the historic 5-spot recordings and whatnot. He even did a concert event at Carnegie Hall. John Coltrane really was able to spread his wings and go out into the stratosphere with the help of Monk under his leadership. It paid off. I mean, Monk's music is made for horn players. Like Round Midnight, you play a trumpet or saxophone. I never heard a bad version of Round Midnight, but I believe the first recording around midnight was with Coleman Hawkins. Thelonious recorded it with Coleman Hawkins back in the 40s. And I believe co-composer credit is given to the great Cootie Williams, the underappreciated trumpeter from Duke Ellington's band. He was, with Duke for decades, and he also was the godfather or the guardian of the great jazz pianist Bud Powell. Bud Powell, brilliant Bud Powell. He got a lot of praise. Everybody wanted to sound like Bud Powell, right? But Bud Powell was close pals with Thelonious Monk. Bud Powell was a victim of police brutality, just like Miles was. He got beat up real bad by police officers, I believe, in Philadelphia. Never recovered from that. I believe he also got electroshock therapy treatment, which is really a no-no for creative people. But I believe he did get electric shock therapy treatment, and he never was the same after that incident. But he had flashes of brilliance. You look at his discography and stuff. He did the quintet. Charlie Parker, Dizzy, Charles Mingus, Bud Powell, and Max Roach up there in Canada playing. I got listed at the quintet recording. It was recorded by Charles Mingus, but these are some of the goats of music history playing together for one night. While across the street, I believe there was a heavyweight championship fight going on with Jersey Joe Walcott. So they would, between intermission, go over there, watch the prize fight, and then go back to the stage. And Charlie Parker was actually playing with a plastic saxophone. That's the genius of Bird. It's like with Michael Jordan. Is it the shoes? Is it the shoes? Is it the shoes? With Charlie Parker, is it the sax? Is it the sax? Is it the S-A-X sax? But he could play on a plastic saxophone and sound the way he sounds incredible. But Thelonious Monk is a founding father of modern American music, bebop. He's a founding father of that, but he's not appreciated as such. His influence is very influential, but people don't give him props. Like, for example, he was the one that started wearing, Thelonious Monk was known for wearing sunglasses and these unique, distinctive hats he will wear. So he was the one that really started wearing berets, like that raspberry beret. He started wearing berets in jazz, and everybody got hip to that. And also, he was the house pianist at Minton's, where it was an incubator for modern American music, bebop. Where you have people like Monk as the house pianist. You have the great Charlie Christian from Oklahoma, from Indian Territory coming through. Charlie Christian, which is a shame. Charlie Christian was amazing guitar player. He played with Benny Goodman and stuff like that. Played electric guitar. Very influential on guitarists to come, like B.B. King even, or Wes Montgomery. He only lived to be, I believe, like 26 years old. He died from tuberculosis. A lot of great musicians died from tuberculosis during that era, including someone like Jimmy Blanton, who really is the father of modern jazz bass. Jimmy Blanton just was extraordinary bassist. He was from Chattanooga. He used to go to Tennessee State and was a part of the Tennessee State Collegians band. But he left school, joined the Ellington band, And the rest is history, because you had that famous Ellington band with Jimmy Blanton on bass and Ben Webster from Kansas City on tenor sax. And there was an amazing sound that Ellington had for several years. And then, unfortunately, Jimmy Blanton got sick and died from tuberculosis. I believe like he maybe 22 or 23 or something like that. So, people talking about how these rappers die early. A lot of jazz musicians die early. Lifestyle, drugs, took a lot of great ones out. But Jimmy Blanton actually wanted to join Jimmy Lunceford's band. His favorite band was Jimmy Lunceford's band. He wanted to join Jimmy Lunceford before Duke. And Jimmy Lunceford actually tried to sign Jimmy Blanton, but he didn't want to give up his longtime bassist. Can't think of his name right now. He's from Memphis. And I talk about Jimmy Lunceford all the time. We got a lot of Jimmy Lunceford stuff coming up, but the one who started out with him when he was in high school, when Jimmy Lunceford was a high school teacher, he had this longtime bassist. When he had Jimmy Crawford on drums, Mose Allen, I believe his name, Mose Allen, that was his longtime bassist. So he didn't want to give up Mose Allen, even though Jimmy Blanton was like a phenomenon. He's like, if you think about what he did for bass, like what Jimi Hendrix did for electric guitar. That's basically like who he is. And like Jimmy, he died young, because Jimmy died at 27. So you had this guy that was in the Ellington band along with Ben Webster. Listen to the recordings, Coco, and all this other stuff. So Monk was the house peanuts in Memphis. Charlie Christian, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie. They all would come and jam for hours and hours and had to create this music. And also, you got to remember, it was a recording band, because it's like, trying to, save resources for the war effort. So there was a recording band because they needed materials for the war effort. So for about 3 years or 2.5 years, we had these guys collaborating, conspiring at Minton's Playhouse, among other places, to create this new music. Because you got to think about it, when the public becomes aware of it, like, they were doing swing music at the beginning of the 40s before World War II. And then after the war, you got this, what Cab Calloway called Chinese music, real fast, playing high tempo, fast tempo music. It's not like the swing music just a couple years earlier where you could dance. People claim they can't dance. I could dance to bebop, but people say it's hard to dance to and all this stuff is weird. But these guys were very well efficient, proficient, skilled artists, musicians, but they just chose to speak a different language. Because a lot of that came, like when Monk, them guys was trying to create a language that the white folks could not steal or have as their own. They wanted their own music. They wanted music that was for us and by us, like a FUBU mindset. They wanted music that was Black music. And this is not nothing new to the beboppers and Monk and them. You go back to even James Reese-Earl, who talked about he wanted a national Negro orchestra to play nothing but Black first music. I'm putting 2021 isms on what he basically, I wanted Black Americans to champion their own music and they have our own institution that put our music first. We create music for us, and by us. So you had a lot of Black nationalism in the music, even before the 60s. Y'all talking about I'm Black and I'm proud. You had a lot of musicians that wanted to, promote Black music. They wanted Black identity music. And Monk and them were trying to create a language, a vernacular that could not be easily appropriated by the white culture. But, it's kind of weird with us. We still teaching white folks how to do stuff anyway. we want it for us, but we always let them in. They come in some type of way. But Monk was interesting. He said, even if it take you 15 or 20 years, play what you want to play. Monk was about trend setting and about innovation, and about pioneering. And it's a thankless job. Because like a lot of stuff that y'all don't know, a lot of these commercials and late night shows and movies, they use a lot of Monk inspired or Monk music. Things you thought was just like, oh, this is made by this Black dude that people thought was crazy. And he had to pay a price. Because I talk about Bud Powell. One time Monk and Bud was in a car together and they was pulled over by the police. I think Bud had some drugs on him, but Monk took the fall for Bud. He didn't want Bud to go. The Bud been mistreated. I mean, like Bud Powell went through a lot of hell. And his brother, Richie Powell, was a gifted piano player. He played with Clifford Brown and Max Roach. Unfortunately, he died with Clifford Brown because his wife was driving the car. They was on their way to Chicago to meet up with Max Roach and Sonny Rollins. Max Roach and Sonny Rollins was in Chicago waiting for Clifford Brown. So Richie Powell's wife was driving the car. You know, Clifford and Richie were passengers, and somehow she lost control of the car on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and all 3 people got killed. They were young. I think Clifford Brown maybe been about 25 or 26 years old. And Clifford Brown was like a saint in jazz music. I talked about earlier how a lot of great young musicians died of drug overdoses. And Clifford was all about clean living. He wasn't about, you know, getting high and doing stuff that destroyed his body. He was a guy that was about clean living. His only saying, according to people, is that he loved donuts too much. He loved to eat donuts. And they call him Brownie. A very endearing dude, a beautiful cat by all measures. I mean, he played in the trumpet section with Quincy Jones on the Lionel Hampton Band, but he made his mark really with Max Roach. And, you know, and the rest is history. But unfortunately, he just didn't have, he had the quality, but not the quantity. But Monk took the rap for Bud Powell for the drugs, and he lost his cabaret license because back in the day, if you're going to play in New York City, you needed a cabaret license. And Monk got his suspended, so he wasn't able to make a living for a couple of years in New York. Like, you know, Billie Holiday lost her cabaret license, right? And she couldn't sing. That's why she started singing at Carnegie Hall, these concert hall venues, because she couldn't play at the nightclubs. And no, I guess club owners will allow her to play or perform, and long that she didn't get caught, whatever, or they didn't get violated or suspended, whatever. But Monk went through a lot of stuff. Monk was attacked by the police on the way to a gig down in Maryland, I believe, either Delaware. I think he was on the way to Baltimore. It was like probably in Delaware. That's Joe Biden's hometown, home state, right? Delaware. Mr. Joe, Jim Crow, Sleepy Joe Biden. That's his play. The police beat up on him. It was interesting, though. Monk, at that, what happened to Monk with the police incident, Jazz Baroness. You know, the Jazz Baroness, look up, take a look, it's all online. The Jazz Baroness was present when Monk was attacked by the police. Also, she was a supporter of Black musicians. So she loved jazz, so why they call it the Jazz Baroness. And also, she was a member of the, you know, Rothschilds family, right? The famous or infamous banking dynasty out of Europe, the Illuminati people. So she was a big jazz fan. She was a supporter of, in particular, Thelonious Monk and Charlie Parker. Matter of fact, Charlie Parker died in her home at the Stanhope Hotel on March 12th, 1955. He died while watching the Dorsey brothers on TV, I guess, perform with some clowns, whatever. He laughed and then died of supposedly at the young age of 34. But the coroner thought he was about 65 years old because his body was so worn out, lifestyle choices, drug abuse, whatever. So it was interesting also that Thelonious Monk died at the home of the Jazz Baroness when she was living in, I want to say Weehawken, New Jersey. He died in her mansion back on February 17th, 1982. So you got 2 great jazz icons, both died in the living space of the Jazz Baroness. And I believe her niece did a documentary with HBO several years ago to talk about her auntie. So, Monk was married to this Black woman named Nellie. I will suggest to you all, if you don't know nothing about Thelonious Monk or you are a great fan of Thelonious Monk, look at the documentary about him called Straight No Chaser, which is on, you can find it anywhere. Clint Eastwood helped produce it, but it basically takes archival footage from the 60s and tell you a little bit about Monk on the road, you know, traveling and performing. And they feature the Jazz Baroness and also his wife, Nellie. Nellie was an amazing Black woman to put up with somebody like Thelonious Monk. Thelonious Monk was a genius, but you could best believe it could not have been easy to live with a personality like Thelonious Monk. Monk was the type of cat, he'll stay up for one day, just playing piano, composing. He might sleep for a couple of days. After like this intense day of just putting together music and practicing and rehearsing, he might, you know, I'm gonna sleep for a couple more days. I mean, Monk was an interesting dude. Brilliant, eccentric, just different. And his approach to life and all that. But thank God that Nellie saw something in him, because she had to, I mean, like it showed in the movie how they were collecting cans, even though he was getting booked, you know, going to Europe and performing, sold out venues. She's still out there collecting cans because, you know, she know them hard days, and there's been more lean days than full ones, or, you know, like they say for better or for worse, but she was a champion. And I don't think that we would have ever had a chance to really appreciate the genius of Monk if you didn't have that strong black woman, Nelly, holding him and the family down. So I give props to that sister Nelly, because his success is just as much as her success. And also, I think what helped her, she allowed the jazz baroness, you know, to help her with Monk. Cause I said he died in her home. He died in the jazz baroness home. He didn't die at home with his wife and loved ones all around him. He died at the home of the jazz baroness. And there's a jazz musician, I believe. I think he's still alive. He's in his 90s. He lives there now. She gave the home to him. And before the COVID thing went down, he was doing jazz workshops up in New York City. They did a New York Times article about him. I was planning to go to one of his jazz workshops sessions. I'm trying to make sure I can find his name. Trying to find Barry Harris. Yeah, he's still around. He's in his early 90s. Barry Harris. Yeah, he lives in a home now. He's from Detroit, a great jazz pianist, bebop. But yeah, she loved the brothers and the music, and she supported it. So, you know, Dick Gregory actually did a movie back in the 60s. Played a character called Eagle Stokes, who was based off of Charlie Parker. It's called Sweet Love Bitter. That's the Dick Gregory movie he did back in the day, where he played a jazz musician named Eagle Stokes. They had a couple of scenes of him with this white lady in a fancy car. I believe it was based off the jazz baroness and Charlie Parker's relationship. So Dick was a fascinating dude. I actually liked that movie. I brought that movie and showed it at the Jimmy Lunsford Festival back in 2018, I believe. Is when we brought the Sun Ra Orchestra to Memphis. They said it was their first time performing in Memphis. We made history with the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival, bringing in Sun Ra. But yeah, Sweet Love Bitter. And I think Mal Waldron did the soundtrack. Mal Waldron was a great piano player. I love some of the stuff he did with Steve Lacy, great soprano saxophonist. Both of them. He also was like Bill Holiday's pianist at the end, Mal Waldron. I think I named Mal Waldron. I don't know. I think that's how you say his name. It's Waldron. So Monk paid the price. He said, if it take you 15 or 20 years to get an audience, keep doing what you're doing and let them catch up to you. Monk was a master teacher, very patient. Like I said, his music was made for horn lovers. Around midnight, Miles Davis and John Coltrane did a great rendition around midnight. Even Amy Winehouse sung a great rendition, in my opinion, around midnight. I never heard a bad take of Around Midnight. That's why you know Monk was a genius, because even when you don't appreciate his piano playing, you got to appreciate these compositions he made, because like I say, he's the second most recorded jazz composer behind Duke, and his output is not what Duke was. Duke basically had thousands of songs he did, and Monk maybe had a handful, couple hundred. You can look it up exactly. Let me see how many songs. I'm gonna look it up to make y'all understand how many songs. Yeah, Thelonious Monk. That's what I love about smartphones and all this information at your fingertip. Wow. He wrote only 70 songs. Monk only wrote 70 songs, man. And he's the second most recorded jazz composer of all time. And Around Midnight is the most recorded jazz composition of all time. I'm saying Monk, but they would call this man retarded, anything but a child of God. That's why I say y'all can't let these white folks define you. Don't let these demonic people, systems, and whatever practices define who you are as a person. Monk was just, man, they lambasted Monk. Monk couldn't, y'all don't understand, man. Like, it's crazy to think about it. A lot of this stuff is used for commercials now. Like I said, talk shows, late night shows, movies, they use a lot of Monk stuff or Monk inspired music. And this man was not really he didn't make a lot of money during his lifetime. But yeah, he only wrote 70 songs, the second most recorded jazz musician after Duke Ellington, who wrote about, let me see how many songs Duke wrote. This is why we got, because I don't hear a lot of us talking. We got so-called black media. We don't educate our people about nothing. We just want to play to the BS and to the distractions, to all the monkery. So Duke Ellington is best remembered for over 3,000 songs that he composed during his lifetime. So Duke wrote 3,000 songs. Probably more than that, actually, because a lot of these guys got their work stolen. I know I read a story where Fats Waller, the great stride piano player, ain't misbehaving guy. They said he used to go down to Tin Pan Alley. This is where all the white people hang out, the white in the music industry. He used to sell the same songs over and over to the white boys. I think he charged them like $40 a piece. And all he did was change the title and saying, and I don't think his family owns the rights to any of his music. Like Ain't Misbehaving, I don't think he owns, but he used to do that. And I remember tales about Scott Joplin, the father of ragtime composers. They said some of his stuff was stolen by Irving Berlin, who people said wrote God Bless America. And Irving Berlin was basically tone deaf. But yeah, he's credited writing a lot of songs, including God Bless America. And people said that some of the stuff he stole it from Scott Joplin. Or you look at somebody like Tony Jackson. Y'all talking about Little Nas X. I keep on talking about Tony Jackson, who's an openly gay jazz musician from New Orleans. People like Jello Morton said that he was the greatest piano player from New Orleans of that era. And this guy had a photographic memory, had perfect pitch. He wrote a lot of songs, but yet he didn't get credit for a lot of songs. One song he got credit for was called Pretty Baby, which he wrote in honor of his male lover because he was gay. He was openly gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is back in the 19-teens. And people say, oh, man, you're homophobic and transphobic black people. Black folks say, well, he could play the music. He could play. He's a great musician. It's like Luther Vandross or anybody. I mean, we appreciate talent. It ain't about your sexual preference with us. It's about, can you play or can't play? Or do you have the talent that gets us talking about your music instead of about your sexuality? Can your talent rise above the BS? And Tony Jackson, from his contemporaries, they said he was the best. This is Jello Morton, who's like the Little Richard of jazz. He said, I invented jazz and people laughed, but guess what? He played a part in helping jazz become jazz. Because I remember maybe 20 years ago, Jello Morton been dead since the 40s, I think. Early 40s at that. And they found new compositions here that were written decades ago. It was written back maybe in the 20s. And they looked at the compositions like, damn, he playing bebop. Like his arrangements, the way his compositions were arranged, it's like it's bebop music, but it was done in the 20s. And then, Jello Morton talking about you got to have that little Spanish tinge or tingly or tinge in your music. And then you get Miles Davis Sketches of Spain. That's in the 50s though. But Jello was talking about this stuff back in the 20s. So, I mean, you got to give the devil his due. But Monk it's like with Coltrane. People say they love Coltrane now. My favorite things and Love Supreme. But back in the day, them critics were hurting Coltrane. They wrote horrible things about John Coltrane's music. And it's hard to believe today. It's like kind of like Dr. King was popular. It's popular, I guess, today. But back in 68, he was not that popular. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover was more popular than Dr. King was among the people. Now we know more things about the legacy of J. Edgar Hoover. Now they're trying to tarnish the legacy of MLK. But what I'm saying is, it's funny how perception is reality. It's not based on facts. It's based on whatever you believe to be real or true or factual, not necessarily actual facts. So this is what I'm saying. So like, it's a no-brainer. John Coltrane's great today, right? But back in the day, those critics were bashing Coltrane. Just like they bashed Sun Ra. Sun Ra talked about the disrespect he was shown, because even with Coltrane, because of some of the stuff he did. My Favorite Things helped open him up the mainstream. Sun Ra would talk about how they be at the club, and the recording industry would be there to record Coltrane on somebody else. And then when his band comes on, all the recording people leave. how the music industry folks leave. They don't want to record no Sun Ra. But Sun Ra had to record himself, and Sun Ra never won a Grammy. But yeah, he influenced everybody. Parliament Funkadelic, Earth, Wind and Fire, Prince, even Andre 3000, Love Below. A lot of musicians, rock musicians, got a lot out of Sun Ra. But Sun Ra don't always get the credit. It's like with Thelonious Monk. These guys, brilliant black men, creatively maladjusted black men who refuse to undermine their moral code. They had their own moral code and compass, and they refuse to undermine it or bend it for anybody. And they pay a price for that. So what I'm saying, there's a lot of stuff that Monk did. Like I said, only 70 songs, yet he's the most recorded jazz musician, second most recorded. Duke wrote 3,000 plus songs. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. Duke was great, and he had Billy Strayhorn, another gay black man. See, there's a lot of stuff we don't talk. Billy Strayhorn, everybody knew he was gay. He's called a man Sweet Pea, but there was Duke Ellington. That was his brain. He wrote Take the A Train. Y'all associate the song, hurry, 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 take the A Train. Billy Strayhorn wrote that for Duke Ellington. He was a gay black man from Pittsburgh. His mother called him Bill. Duke Ellington was heartbroken when Billy Strayhorn died, I believe back in 1967. But he wrote a lot of great things. Duke was a ladies' man. He loved the women. Duke always had a pretty lady around him, and sometimes Duke kept women around him. His wife, he was married one time. His wife got mad, slashed his pretty face. He had a little scar on side of his face. He still was a handsome guy, intelligent, classy, elegant Duke Ellington. Something about the Duke, even the music, but he was about using music to preserve Black history and tell our story from our perspectives, not just dance music. He was a griot. He was using music to tell our story. Check out the Black, Brown, and Beige suite he did back in 1943. He premiered it at Carnegie Hall. Black, Brown, and Beige is about the story of foundational Black Americans. A.L.L is about our story in this country told through music. A dude did a lot of suites. I love his New Orleans suite he did to dedicate to the great musicians and to the city and legacy of New Orleans. That's a wonderful New Orleans suite. Like Duke was known for music portraits. He do portraits of Louis Armstrong, Burt Williams, Florence Mills, all through music, man, because Duke was a visual artist at first. He was a painter. He actually got a scholarship to attend Pratt Institute, but decided to go to the music route, and thank God. But if you listen to Duke's music, he used his musicians like paints. And he's he like the piano, and it's like he's painting with a note music, he's painting you a picture. But anyway, I could talk on and on about the Monk thing, but Monk was, to me, Monk was an alchemist because he made ugly beautiful. Because when I first started listening to Monk 20 something years ago, it was like a lot of dissonance and like banging. Like, damn, what are you doing? But then you start listening over and over. Because Monk ain't really playing out of tune. He just playing it in his groove. And he allowed other folks to groove with him. And everything is mathematical. So it's not out of place. It's kind of like, Walter White with the blue crystal meth. I should start looking at Breaking Bad. I've been binging through Breaking Bad. And I got to tell you something, man. Giancarlo Esposito is amazing. That man is not appreciated. That man is brilliant. Because that Gus character he played was so gangster and cool. That's the real American gangster. That Gus guy, the chicken man. And he flipped that chicken thing. I wish between him and Stringer Bell, right? But Gus and Giancarlo sold that. I just got through looking at season 4 of Breaking Bad. I'm working on season 5 now. But I don't know what I'm talking about right now. But let's talk about Dave Chappelle. I know I'm talking loud. I just can't help myself. Can't help myself. There's so much to talk about, man. I don't be prepared. I just go off the top of my head with this stuff. But I am a Dave Chappelle fan. Most no doubt. I met Dave Chappelle twice. And y'all know that if you a fan of We All Be, you know about me meeting Dave Chappelle. And I just there over there at DC at Ben's Chili Bowl. I took that picture back in June of this year. You know, they painted over Bill Cosby. They had a Bill Cosby chili smoke sausage name after Bill Cosby. They took it down. I still rock with Bill Cosby, but you know, free R. Kelly. But yeah, I went there and took a picture with the mural because like Dick actually was there when they unveiled the mural with Dave Chappelle. And this was just weeks or days before he passed away. So, you know, they put that mural up back in 2017. So when I'm in the DC area, I would try to pay my respects. So I went there during this homegoing celebration weekend. I went to the mural to pay my respects, and folks knew who I was. Yeah, man, Brother Ron. God bless you, Brother Ron. I mean, it was funny. People knew who I was. I went to the funeral or the homegoing. People, hey, Brother Ron, Harlem loves you, man. Come up to New York. We love you, Brother Ron. I mean, this is bad. Like, wow. So people recognize the work. But it's like Monk, man. Like, you know, I got a lot of influence, but, you know, I'm not really popular. I know that's hard for people to believe I'm more tolerated than popular. Dave Chappelle is actually popular and controversial, which is interesting. Thelonious Monk was not popular like he should have been, but he was well respected by the right people because they didn't give up on Monk getting his stuff out there and amplified to the masses, and thank God they didn't. But Monk believed in himself, just like Dick and Dave believe in themselves. Dick will always say, my truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance. And Dave Chappelle does not need to be validated by anybody but Dave Chappelle. And he's doing a great job of that. He's basically carrying the torch. Like you look at, Dick had a lot of respect for Dave Chappelle. Dick had a lot of respect for people like Nick Cannon. But look how Nick Cannon folded. I'm not, you know, but Dick loved Nick Cannon. But Nick thought he gonna get it. He thought he gonna be the next in line, but really it's Dave. I mean, Dave got it. Dave got it, man. He understands or understands what it is. And he's bigger than just being a comedian. It's not about comedy. People say, well, the last episode, the closer was not that funny. It wasn't supposed to be funny. It's like you listen to Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker's a great musician, but everything ain't meant for dancing. He wants you just to, hey, why don't you stop dancing and pay attention and listen to what I'm saying? Like that's how Dave Chappelle is. Like Charlie Parker, they both Virgos. Pay attention to what I'm saying, and they both born in August. You know, I think Dave was born August 24th. Charlie Parker born August 29th. Virgos are unique, but I'm saying, yeah, I want to entertain y'all, but this is some serious stuff here. Let me listen to what I'm doing. Like Bird wants you to listen to what he was playing, not always just dance and be distracted and unfocused. And that's the same thing Dave is doing. He happened to be a court jester, but he's not about the jokes first. And he's teaching us because he comes from a long line of educators. Like I said, I met his mom, Dr. Yvonne Sayon, something like that. But she actually was hand selected by Patrice Lumumba to supervise his Congo Dam project. He picked her when Patrice Lumumba, the prime minister of the Congo, came to America. He wanted to meet with the Dwight Eisenhower, who was the president of the United States at the time. The Dwight D. Eisenhower would not meet with him. And so he met with a delegation of Black students and graduates, young Black students and college graduates at his hotel. And he was very, very impressed with Dave's mom because, like, one thing, not only was she a phenomenal or is a phenomenal intellect, but she was fluent in French. And that impressed him. So he hired her on the spot, probably realizing that his days would be numbered. But Miss Chappelle is really a pioneer in doctorate programs in America for Black studies. So she's one of the pioneers for doctorate studies for Black studies, you know, creating PhD programs, doctorates for Black study. You know, all the Black studies or African-American study departments around the country owes a debt to people like Dave Chappelle's mom. His father was a professor at Antioch College in Yellow Springs, Ohio, where he lives. It's not by coincidence, you know. Antioch also produced Coretta Scott King, the wife, matriarch, torchbearer for the King legacy. She went to Antioch College in Yellow Springs. So they come a very progressive, radical. Then his great-grandfather, William Chappelle, bishop, I think, AME Church. He was also the president of Richard Allen University in South Carolina back in the turn of last century. So they come from a very distinguished background. And also his father was very prominent in the divesting out of South Africa movement back in the 80s. So they come from very highly educated people, very accomplished, people-oriented, educated-minded people. He just so happened to be a comedian. I remember watching a documentary about Dave Chappelle years ago. He talked about, he had a conversation with his father. He told his father, basically, I'm not going to college and pursue my career as a comedian. And his father asked him, how would you define success? He said, if I could make the same amount of money you making while telling jokes, that's success to me. Then his father said, okay, you good. Okay, so this is what you want to do. You said your idea is that if I could make a living, let's make it. He didn't say I want to be a multimillionaire. He said, if I could make a living telling jokes, make as much money as you teaching people. And Dave is a teacher. He's a master teacher. He's one of the master teachers of his generation. So he's more than just a comedian. He's not just a comedian. It's like Mark Twain is not just a writer. These guys that's why he won the Mark Twain Award or prize, whatever, because it's more than that. And Dick Gregory was more than just a comedian. I mean, Dick Gregory started movements and inspired people. There's stuff coming out to this day that involved Dick Gregory. Every time I turn on the TV or go online or read a book, Dick Gregory name pop up. Even when I was reading Bobby Rush's book, we honoring Bobby Rush at the end of this month. If you're in Memphis, you want to be down here live, free, Hollering Center next to Orpheum, October 31st. This is our homecoming court king for the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival. Bobby Rush even talked about Dick Gregory calling him and congratulating him when he appeared in Martin Scorsese's Blues documentary that came out on PBS some years ago. He said, I got a call from Dick. He said, hey, Bobby, you so damn funny, as in his book. So Dick Gregory is always popping up. I'd like to say he didn't die. He's omnipresent. He's freer now than he ever was walking the earth. Like I said, I find Dick Gregory in the strangest of places. But Dick gave up so much. But he, like Freedom Summer 64, was inspired by Dick Gregory. So many things. Them brothers pumping their fists in the air at the '68 Olympics was inspired by Dick Gregory. I got a little tangled up, but Dick Gregory was protesting Black involvement in the '64 Olympics, I believe. And then 4 years later, them brothers caught up with what he was trying to do 4 years early. Dick always ahead of the curve. And he's a pioneer, and he's out there standing on his truths. And a lot of times you do that, you ruffle a lot of feathers. A lot of feathers get ruffled. You don't always get the recognition you deserve. I believe Dick should have got a Mark Twain prize before he died. But, he went to Eddie Murphy's. He helped organize that. But he's well respected. He's a comedian, but also an activist. And that's why I said his generation set the bar so high for what celebrities could do as far as being humanitarians that I'm not really looking to them no more in this day and age. Just entertain, distract, be a court jester, but don't stand up for our people. It's weird. And when the people do stand up for us, we don't support them. I don't look at a lot of sports now. I look at highlights online. But what I would say is this, with the Kyrie Irving situation, this guy's actually losing money to stand on principle. Whatever you may think about what he decided to stand on, I respect that. He's losing money. In his prime years where he can make money as an athlete, because that window of opportunity is not that long. It's very short. And then a lot of athletes end up broke within less than 5 years after retiring. But this guy is giving up like almost $500,000 per game, or like 300,000, whatever, to take a stand. It may not be the most popular stand, but he's doing something I respect in terms of he's willing to put his lifestyle and his money on the line for principle. He don't have no backroom deal with Nike or anybody else to have a golden parachute like What the dude named Colin Kaepernick y'all love so much? I love my heroes be more vocal than a Colin Kaepernick. He up here kneeling, black folks still catching hell, and he's disappearing. You don't hear nothing from Colin Kaepernick. That's a game. But yeah, he had that deal with Nike. You know, he had a multi-million-dollar deal. He ain't losing nothing. You know, he played in the Super Bowl. He had his day. I'm not, you know, a big cop. And y'all out there were trying to get him to get a job, and y'all can't find a job. A lot of y'all been unemployed for years, worrying about Colin Kaepernick, a millionaire. If he gonna be able to play foosball and play the Super Bowl again. You know, so must respect to Kyrie Irving. And I would with Kareem, I respect the elder, but I ain't Kareem so out of tune, man. It's ridiculous. He's just tone deaf right now. I don't care what nobody say. And that's his business. But that's why I don't mess with the court justice, active or retired. I just let them do their thing. But our people, we are at a crossroads. Dave Chappelle is a freedom of speech hero. He was channeling Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, you know, Red Fire. He's up there with the greats, man. I'm denying it. Even if he's not your GOAT, he's still up there. He's up there, man, because he changed the game. But he's really just a teacher posing as a comedian. And I wish him the best. I hope he continue to stand strong and keep on doing what he's doing, because he's just exposing hypocrisy. He's doing what the Black Panthers used to say. He's heightening the contradictions. And that's what he's supposed to do. He's a Virgo. That's what they do. I tell you, like Charlie Parker said, yeah, I could play some dancing music, but I want y'all to really hear what I'm saying. Don't think about, you know, Charlie Parker, they played the nightclub, people talking and laughing real loud. You know, you hear the sound of their cups all cackling, whatever they're doing. And, you know, nobody ain't paying attention to the music, the artistry, the brilliance of the alchemy of it all. It's like, well, comedians, you know, they trying to do their set and people heckling, people talking loud and nobody paying attention. But when you get to a point in your artistry where people are forced to stop what they're doing and really listen and get in tune with what you're doing, then you on another level. And Dave Chappelle's on that other level where I'm talking about he's up there with the Monks, the Charlie Parkers, anybody who did anything very, very well, any crowd. I don't care if it's, you know, it could be a hitman. He's up there with the best of it. He's in that zen, that zone. This is time, man. He always know how to leave. He don't stay too long at the party. You know when it's time, when it's quitting time. And so Dave said, I'm gonna be gone for a minute. So what? It could be a decade. But he left so much great stuff. Even if he never did another stand-up special, he gave us a lot. Really, quite frankly, people, we don't deserve a Dave Chappelle no more than we deserve a Thelonious Monk or Dick Gregory. Because these folks are givers, man. They give so much to the people. And it could be tiring because Monk, he wrote 70 songs, but you got to think about all the hell he had to endure just to keep playing those songs. The courage it took for him. I mean, he lost his cabaret license. You know, wife collecting soda cans to make some ends meet. You know, his son used to talk about how he thought it was weird that people like to request his father to play Happy Birthday, because he said, man, they don't sound that good when he play Happy. Y'all know I love playing Happy Birthday for certain people, but I know it's an acquired taste for a lot of people. I don't care. But like he thought it was weird that people would request his father to play Happy Birthday. He played in his Thelonious Monk way. And like, what the hell? Then he thought it was weird that some of his music heroes like Miles Davis would be like children around Monk. They act like they was like getting their toys on Christmas Day, just interacting with Thelonious. And then he said, years later, I recognized the greatness of my father. I didn't know he was great. Like, I didn't know what greatness was. It's like, it's biblical. A prophet is always without honor among family, friends, and country. So it's like, even I saw a documentary on Andy Warhol, and when they had his funeral in Pittsburgh, I believe, and one of his brothers were interviewed. They said, I didn't really know who Andy was until his funeral. He got heads of state and celebrities, A-list people. They're crying and paying homage to Andy. I thought you just little Andy. He was always sickly. The way he thought of his brother, even his brother was a grown man, he never saw his brother as the world saw him. So like y'all get mad because they won't let me live my life. I change. Well, change your zip code, change your address. Get away from those people that won't let you, live your life now. Live your best life. You might have been caught up in some stuff back in the day and that motherfucker caught in this and that now. But that was like maybe 20 years ago, and you changed. You paid your debts to society, and you said people won't let you live. Well, it's your prerogative to move your ass to a different zip code and cut people off. It's as simple as that. But sometimes we make the easiest things too hard. Just because something is simple don't mean it's easy to do. There's a difference between simple and easy. So I think I want to end it early. Because I talked a lot about Dave Chappelle in previous shows. Y'all know how I love Baba Dick Gregory, even when he was cussing me out. You also know a little bit about my love of jazz music and Thelonious Monk. But you notice in all three examples that they're black hetero males. No disrespect to the queer or the alphabet crew, but these are black testosterone loving men taking creative stands and paying for it, getting punished by the establishment for taking these stands, but yet withstanding, not giving up in or out, and making a powerful, impactful, lasting contribution. Black masculinity matters. Black manhood matters. These are great examples. These are were family, or are, and Dave is still a family man. These were family men who even sacrificed the security of their family to put out these amazing works of art, to do these amazing things for humanity, and a lot of times not get the credit for it. A la Dick Gregory, a la Thelonious Monk. And right now, Dave Chappelle is going through it. But like I said, Dave got it, man. He got the torch. He got the glow, but he was prepared for this moment. It's like with Tupac. Tupac wasn't no ordinary kid. Look at his background. Look at his mama. Look at his people. Look at the people he come from. It's unfortunate he got caught up, but we all get caught up. Ali got caught up. Everybody gets caught up. That's called having a human experience. If you don't ever get caught up or have an ego trip, then you're not really human. And you're not really doing the things you should be doing, because those things tend to arise when you're doing your work. The devil controls this. You're doing your God work in the devil's playground. So, yeah. But I just want to make sure I do a show. And we could talk about this later, have people on. Just want to give y'all some, and the John Gruden stuff. I don't know all the particulars. I knew he resigned because some emails from 10 years ago, people talking about he offended the alphabet mafia. He might have said some racist stuff. I don't care. I don't care. A lot of y'all care about people liking you when you should be more concerned about loving yourself. When it should be about self-respect. Everything you want out there starts from within. Everything you want out there starts from within. You gotta love self. You gotta like and respect self. Nobody else can do that but you, for you. Don't be too concerned about what people think. You can't control people's thoughts. I won't waste my life spending too much time thinking about what people think about me. I used to do that when I was younger, but time is not on my side. So I'd rather spend most of my time doing the things that really interest me. And by me doing that, it allows me to be a better version of myself. And I'm able to contribute a unique contribution because I'm doing it out of self. Like when Monk was playing the way he was playing, he could play like everybody else, but he wanted to play like him. Because like he said, to be a genius is just to be yourself, to be honest with yourself, to be open with yourself, be loving with yourself, and to do for self so you could do for others. Because by you doing for self and inspire others to do for themselves. So you create a community of doers. You got to take risk, man. Life is not fun without risk. No risk, no reward. Dick Gregory took risks. Thelonious Monk took risks. Dave Chappelle taking risks. And I stand with Dave. Dave come up from a long line of freedom fighters and people who love humanity, love to give, love to serve the best of their abilities and gifts. And I want to encourage whoever's listening to this message to also be encouraged and to be inspired to share the best of themselves with humanity, to give more than you receive, to leave the world, this space, in a better place than you came into, by any means necessary. So with that said, I'm going to slowly wrap it down. There's no need for no 3-hour marathon. I say, well, but John Gruden thing is like, even when they removed Tony Dungy when he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers coach, they took Tony Dungy, and then a year later, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, and they gave the credit to John Gruden. And John Gruden was never impressive to me. I think he's better as being a quarterback coach or assistant to coach. He should never be a head coach. But it's like the same thing with Mark Jackson and Golden State Warriors. Like, I don't have no problem with Steve Kerr, but I'm saying Mark Jackson helped create the locker room culture and the atmosphere. No, Mark Jackson's a minister too. In their locker room, for them to be able to achieve the things that the Golden State Warriors did as far as the dynasty. But you don't hear about Mark Jackson talked about that much when it relates to the success of the Golden State Warriors. It's like when Tampa Bay Buccaneers, before they got Tom Brady, Tony Dungy was building up a locker room culture. I mean, he's a Christian man. I'm not here trying to promote no Christianity or anything. I'm just saying that he had a moral compass about him. He's like, he was a decent guy. Well, he is a decent guy. I know that his son committed suicide, whatever. I don't know what's going on with that, but Tony Dungy should have got credit. He should have got a ring when Tampa Bay won, with John Gruden as the lead. But it's like black people strange. They got you believing that black folks couldn't be quarterbacks, but look at Doug Williams. Shit, look at Patrick Mahomes. Look at so many other, Warren Moon. Oh, you can't be a pitcher, black man. Bob Gibson. Hell. Doc Gooden, man. Y'all forget, them New York Mets was amazing. Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry should be in the Hall of Fame. But, drugs is a hell of a drug. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. You know what I'm saying? Rick James would say, but look at what Darryl Strawberry and Doc Gooden, Dwight Gooden, who's also the uncle of Gary Sheffield, who should be in the Hall of Fame too. I mean, black people, we are amazing, but we let these people limit our view of ourselves. You as big, you could be as big as your imagination allow you to be, but if you're not feeding your imagination and you feeding yourself with this lot of self-hate and loathing, you can't get nowhere. Thank you so much, Sister Alexandria, for this generous donation. We love you madly. I really appreciate that. That came in handy. I can pay my light bill. Like I said, I'm there in the trenches with you all. I'm not on no high hill, whatever. I'm out here surviving the times, but this is why we need to held these type of dialogues. Like, I help people on. Like I said, sometimes I don't want to get on. I'll be tired and stuff, but then y'all encourage me to come on out. Every time I try to get out, y'all pull me back in. Michael Corleone and Godfather. But there's so much to talk about. And sometimes I look at what people are doing. I respect a lot of people doing what they're doing, but we're not really feeding what people need to be fed. And I'm just trying to offer a different perspective on things as it relates to my own experience and all this. Also October 12th is the anniversary of Louis Armstrong marrying his fourth and final wife, Lucille, who finally gave him a home. They got married October 12th, 1942. Now, this is my picture with Louis and his wife from Memphis, Lil Harder Armstrong, a black woman that made him a superstar. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people, ladies and women coming to me, I don't know. This is something about, I guess some women like this beard. I don't know what it is. Women are like, you lost weight. They're coming up to me. Oh, you need you a good woman. You need to have a family. I said, okay, if it happens, it happens. But my thing is, I can't get with nobody that's going to bring me down. I need somebody to help build me up. And like, I used to think that I'll be able to build an empire with somebody when I was younger, but now it's like I got to build it myself. I just got to have somebody that will be a helpmate and not an obstacle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm open to it, but at the same time, like, as I get older, it's kind of hard to open up sometimes to learn people. It takes a lot to learn people when you're in a relationship with somebody. You gotta be open. You gotta learn, and That's a lot of time invested, but I'm open to it. But Thelonious Monk, if he didn't marry Nelly, he had the right black woman with him. Because a lot of people could not endure what Monk endured. He had a woman that believed in him, was willing to be ride or die with him. And when he made it, she got the benefits. She got to travel and all that stuff and spend time on, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know too many people that can put up with that. It's like when people tell me, well, I want to marry somebody like Dr. King and Malcolm X. Are you crazy? I mean, I understand and I don't understand. I understand like the idea, oh, it's idealistic. You look at the pictures, but really, Coretta was alone. For most, Betty was alone, raising no kids. Them guys are always gone. You want somebody gonna be there in the home to help you rear your children. The guy, I mean, Dick Gregory was gone. Dick Gregory had 10 kids. He had 11 kids in all. You know, he had his son die back in '63, but basically his wife was raising no kids. Dick wasn't raising his kids. Dick was trying to be a father to the world. No disrespect, but he was honest about it. His kids honest about it, but he left them a good name and a legacy. He was no deadbeat dad. Dick Gregory was far from a deadbeat dad. He was just not always there every day dad. But he left them a powerful name and legacy. And thank God for Mother Lil. You know, her birthday is on November 24th. Y'all love Dick Gregory. Remember his wife who helped him become who he became. Remember her birthday, November 24th. Remember their wedding anniversary date, February 2nd. They was married February 2nd, 1959. Remember Baba's passing August 19th. Remember his birthday, October 12th. All you Dick Gregory files and Baba's chosen. The man left a lot for us to chew on. And he anointed me to feed her, but I'm going to keep on feeding y'all. Let me get out of here. I can't believe I'm doing the show right now, man. Nobody knows. It's like 2021 has been crazy for me. It's been crazy for a lot of y'all. I appreciate y'all hanging in there and not giving up or giving in or giving out. Because it's tough out here, man. And Lord knows. Lord knows. But anyway, thank you all for riding with your brother. I'm going to see what you. Everybody says don't go. Oh, yeah, I can listen to me in the archives, though. I want to check. I'm about to look at this final episode of the final season of Breaking Bad. And there's so much interesting TV out there, man. Like I said, I'm just now looking at Breaking Bad years later. I think, damn, this is a good show. But that season 4, y'all never seen Breaking Bad. Do it y'all business to check it out, especially season 4. That thing was amazing. Like I said, Giancarlo Esposito, man. Ever since school days and Do the Right Thing, that brother don't get enough credit, man. That man is brilliant. That man, like Gus. That Gus dude, we got a Gus's Chicken here in Memphis area. It's very popular. They're booming now. Gus's Chicken is you can find them in Los Angeles. I know I tried them in Atlanta twice and in St. Louis. They don't it's funny because even in the Memphis area, like their chicken is different. Some places they're wet. The chicken is wet. Fried chicken is wetter. Some is dry, but it's still good chicken. But yeah, the guy was named Gus. And he was like a gangster from Chile. he took down the Mexican cartel. It's just crazy stuff. It's just like I see why people say Breaking Bad is one of the best TV shows of all time. Walter White and Bryan Cranston is an amazing actor. His range is amazing. Anytime I see a show or movie with Bryan Cranston in it, I'm watching it. I don't care what it is because that man. It's certain actors you could always depend on, even when the script is not that strong, is weak or whatever, they could carry a show. Like even with the Harlem Godfather, right? Or Godfather Harlem, Forrest Whitaker, he's an amazing actor. He can carry some stuff. But that Breaking Bad season 4, oh my God. Yeah, I know I'm late. I'm almost 10 years late with it, but it is what it is. Thank you, Brother Derek. We love you madly. I appreciate it. As always, underserved the people. I appreciate y'all supporting the movement. And like I said, your dollars do add up. It helps with a lot of things y'all don't see. But I look forward to putting more into the show and hopefully doing more shows. Like I always tell people, I want to do more shows. the thing about it too, also I got a lot of footage I need to cut up as well too. I got a lot of video footage of events that I have attended over the last several months that I need to be circulating. And also getting prepared for the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival Week. I got a lot of footage I want to show from events over the last several months. And so I'm a one-man movement. I thank God for my mom, Sister Callie Hurd, Dr. Callie Hurd. She helps with the nonprofit, the We All Be Group Incorporated. And also she helps with logistics. She is great at organizing. Like this Jimmy Lunsford thing, she's helping me put the pieces together. I know she's like a trainer in the gym. Like she make you hustle and stuff like that. So I thank God that I'm able to work with my mom on these projects. She helps, help me carry the load and helps keep me pushing, and she'll do the extra things to help make sure keep things on track. So I appreciate her more than she knows, actually, because doing these things are crazy, but people love them. They benefit. And I like I said, I love being able to honor people, give them their flowers, especially when they're living. And a lot of times I don't do these things just for me. I don't care about, I respect people that honor me, but really at the end of the day, it's about me doing things for others. And like to paraphrase Baba Dick Gregory, the key to happiness is doing things for other people. If you want to be happy, try doing things for other people and not expecting anything in return for it. Because I learned that now as I get older, I appreciate that. If I do something for you, I'm not expecting you to do something for me. And even if you don't do nothing, just think about what I did for you and pass it forward if you want to, but it's your choice. But when you start trying to expect things from people, that's when you start getting disappointed. When you start having expectations of what people should do for you or how they should be or how they should live, that's when you start getting disappointed. Don't worry about that. You can't control other people. You can't control their thoughts. You only responsible for you. So be an example that you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. So thank you all. And if you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. We All Be TV on YouTube. Also support the We All Be movement. You could cash out your support, $R2C2H2. That's $R2C2H2 is right here. $R2C2H2. You also can Google Pay and PayPal and Zelle your support. Email r2c2h2@gmail.com. That's email r2c2h2@gmail.com. You can Venmo your support at r2c2h2. Also, you could buy Artivist art. See that? Louis Armstrong, high five, high seven. r2c2h2.com. That's r2c2h2.com. You can also wear Artivist art. You see, I got the Dick Gregory 3 kinds. You got Dick Gregory, Paul Mooney, Richard Pryor. They actually autographed this. Paul Mooney and Dick Gregory actually autographed. We just lost Paul Mooney this year. But I went down to Atlanta back in 2014. I did some artwork. Like I'm good at doing stuff real fast. It might not be the best, but I could draw real fast. So I did something right before I went down, and Dick had his mouth open when I saw him in Atlanta that May of 2014. So the 3 Kings autograph, the original been autographed. Go down to the below the description box to the shelf to our official Teespring store and get access there. Get some of the great shirts I got with some of my artwork on it. Thank you for the donation, brother. It's an honor because a lot of times I got hours and hours of Dick Gregory stuff, and I don't even listen to that stuff. Sometimes it'd be years before I listen to anything. Y'all be telling me about shows I didn't know I did. And one day I would like to remaster some of that, like make it more accessible, improve some of the recordings, if it's possible, engineering, all that stuff. We'll see. But for the most part, I did what I had to do. Thank you, Derek, for your donation and for your thoughtful comments. Thank you, Sister Alexandria. Yeah, Gary Oldman Gary Oldman's good. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, certain actors, you might not know nothing about the show or about the movie, but you always know they're gonna give a good ass performance. They're gonna do their best to carry their part. It's like, okay, like I was talking to my sister about, I just saw The Many Saints in Newark, which was good. I wasn't expecting to be good, but David Chase is a genius. The Sopranos are great. I love The Sopranos. And James Gandolfini, his son Michael, I think his son Michael Gandolfini, looks just like his father. He don't have to have no blood test. That's your dad, man. You his son. But yeah, Gary Oldman does great work. You right, Gary Oldman, and thank you for your donation. But Edie Falco, who was Tony Soprano's wife, Carmela, and then she did Nurse Jackie. Edie Falco is phenomenal. I mean, there's certain people that, damn, these folks that can act their ass off. I mean, I always enjoy their shows. There's a couple, Paul Giamatti, in Billions. I didn't know his dad at one time was the baseball commissioner. He died while in office. His dad used to be the president of Yale University, I believe. He comes from a very distinguished and accomplished background, but his daddy was there when Pete Rose got in trouble with the gambling, and Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you why. Yeah, I think Pete Rose bet on his team and bet on himself, but the team that won the World Series, when the next year after they kicked him out of baseball, Lou Piniella was the coach for that team. That was Pete Rose's team. He put that team together. It's kind of like with Tony Dungy, all the work he did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or Mark Jackson with the Golden State Warriors. Soon as they're about to get, win their championship, they get kicked out. The guys who actually helped build the team and the culture. It's interesting. Yeah, you can catch me in the archives, Brother Roy, but hopefully I'll do some more shows. I'll upload some more material very soon. Like I said, we got the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival coming up. A lot of interesting stuff out there. Well, our people are interested because you got to understand with us, like Jimmy Lunsford. Now, I talk to old heads, elders in the 80s and 90s. They know who Jimmy Lunsford was. They tell me, oh, man, Jimmy Lunsford was the best. Jimmy Lunsford was more popular than Duke Ellington, Cap Calloway. He was more popular than Duke Ellington, Cap Calloway, Count Basie during his lifetime. Black folks love Jimmy Lunsford. He had a very danceable 2-beat sound that get you on the dance floor. I was listening to Jimmy Lunsford earlier yesterday, and I couldn't stop shaking my head. It's from the 40s and the 30s, but he had a distinctive sound that everybody loved. But when the people who call themselves your fans don't tell your story, then you get no glory. Because when Jimmy Lunsford died when he was 45 under questionable circumstances, Duke and Count lived to their 70s, so they was able to get on TV, to be seen, and all that stuff. See, longevity has its place. You know what I'm saying? Dick Gregory lived a long time. He lived longer than Martin and Malcolm and a lot of other people. So he was able to get some of his flowers because he got into the period in his 80s. They called it the Uranus return. Uranus return. Look it up. This is when you're in your 80s and you start getting your flowers. If you live into your 80s, you did some unique things over your life, you start getting recognition and your flowers. So Dick was in his Uranus return right before he left the planet. So God bless Baba Dick Gregory and his family. We love you madly. I appreciate that. You are appreciated. Yeah, but Dick, you gotta understand with Dick Gregory. I appreciate that. You gotta have patience. With Dick, he went through a lot of stuff. Dick was dealing with what we know now. They say he had many strokes over the years, like many strokes, messing with his circulation, brain, all that stuff. So he was having strokes. He didn't even know because what Dick was doing, he wasn't just fasting, he was starving himself. He was committing a slow form of revolutionary suicide. Huey P. Newton talked about revolutionary suicide, to live and die and fight for the people. Dick was, destroying his body, trying to bring awareness to humanity about starvation and all type of other injustice in the world. So that had an effect over his body. And so, like, he had stroke. Now, so he was dealing with dementia. Dr. Christian Gregory, his son, said he was dealing with dementia. So he would be short-tempered, but he wouldn't hold a grudge. Like, he'll curse you out. Like Paul Mooney's cousin Rudy would tell me, like, yeah, Ron, he'll curse you out. And then he'd say, how's the family? He said, what the fuck? After he got through cursing you out, then he'll say something like, how's the family? But Dick would not hold grudges against anybody. Because many times he cursed me out, he still did my show. He still gave me access to him on the road. He appreciated the work we was doing. And I remember I met his family at the homegoing at Howard University at the at the wake that Friday before his homegoing celebration. They're saying, man, you just like the part of the family, man, because Dick would curse out his family. He'll curse out his kids and grandkids and everything. And not think nothing of it. But the thing about it was played before the camera with me and Mike from Real Black and other people. And, you know, people say he'll go into the brothers. I said, well, he felt comfortable with us to be himself. You know, and I appreciate that, you know, his realness, his rawness, because he was comfortable around us. And also he was helping us. Because, like, yeah, it bothered me. I'm a human. But at the same time, I thank God, too, because, like, what I'm dealing with now in the world, he got me ready to prepared to deal with what I'm dealing with, you know, and he made me tough. It's like he was a drill sergeant. And he knew what was coming up the road. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he checked out of here. He said, playtime over, recess over, I'm out. he was the closer. He closed out. He said, I'm out of here, man. He left at the right time because Dick already saw what was going on. Because y'all keep on talking about some Trump, and Trump ain't the problem. He said Trump's shadow. He said what's following Trump is the issue. He didn't say Trump was the problem. Y'all keep on misquoting Dick on that. He said he feared Trump's shadow was following Trump. That's what he feared. And look, we live in it now. And see, that's why he feared it, and that's why he out of here. And oh man, it's crazy. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm about to get out of here. I like Reuben Francis. Now, is that one of Malcolm X's bodyguards? You talking about Reuben Francis? God, I think it was a Reuben Francis that guarded him. Well, anyway, let me read. Thank you all for listening tonight, watching, and those who will listen and watching, we love you madly. Let me read the disclaimer. And let me start watching Breaking Bad. The final season. Disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support, and thank you all for being very patient. We're going to end this under record time, under 3 hours, almost hour, 30 minutes. So thank you all. In the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing. One love. Peace.